Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next comment question comes from Jack and Jill Marley, which I know is Richard. And this was in response to upgrades to the Roland U-220 JX3P worth a key bed disassemble. Mailbag added in May 2023. And Richard writes, I also had to rescan the factory patches on the Roland U-220. Can't remember if I already mentioned that on one of your videos. Basically, my Roland U-2020 had a garbled display. And after I rescanned the factory patches via SYSEX, it's been fine ever since. When I initialize it, as I do use it to render MIDI files, I also had to reload the SYSEX files to get the factory presets back on my EMU Proteus 2, but I daren't put that general MIDI data through, as I know doing an onboard initialization of the Proteus modules wipes all the patches beyond 64. Reloading SYSEX files is not something I do unless it's really necessary. Well, I have to be honest and say, Richard, not a bad shout on really necessary. But sometimes, you know, to get different sound packs and various other bits and bobs onto them, that's something you have to do. Now, a garbled display following an event is actually a fairly common event on synths of this age, if I'm honest. My Roland U-20 exhibits this on a fairly frequent basis because the battery needs changing, quite simple. And I haven't had the chance to do it. Following a reinstallation, all the files are backed up, back to life, and then once it's switched off, it all becomes garbled again. It's possibly for one of those reasons I haven't done much with the synth on the channel, and that's very true because I haven't got round to repairing it. Next comment question comes from Autistic and Alien, and this is in response to, do I need a Roland S-50? I miss my cool Kronos so much. A Mailbag I did in September 2023. And Artistic writes, I'd say E-MAX because it's an 8-bit input, 12-bit output would be more pleasing. I'm saving up for one now. I have an S550, a Roland S550, and I've modded it up a bit. I will be happy to explain what I'm modding if you're interested. The S50 and the S550 and the S330 and the S10 and the W30 are all 12-bit input and 16-bit output. Yeah, I'll just go back over that. I'm not personally a fan of the choice Roland did because, ironically, the DAC chip inside the E-MAX one is exactly the same DAC chip that Roland used for their Jupiter 8. In my opinion, but I hope you can find a 12-bit sampler. Cheers. D. Well, one of the things I like about this channel, and I like about doing Mailbag, is reading through your comments and questions that you leave on the channel. And it's always interesting to see alternative views from mine. I'm not closed to alternative views. I have to be honest and say some people all can present a really good argument that quite often changes my view. But I have to be honest, I've looked at an E-MAX platform a couple of times and really not jumped for one reason or another. But that's, again, personal preference. But I asked what the mods were on the S50 and why those mods were made. And I got a reply that said I'm replacing the DAC chip, which is a 16-bit, and replaced with a 12-bit DAC chip as seen in the EMU SP12 SP1200. Also, I'd attached my Easy EDA forum page I wrote about my adapter. I want to make it so I can run an E-MAX 1 and an S-50 analog board together. Easy EDA is a PCB design software I'd recommend since I use a Mac. When I tried to share the link to the forum page I have written, YouTube doesn't seem to let me repost it. Bloody shucks. Well, so anyway, if you're watching this and you're listening to this, one thing I would say is that YouTube does not allow you to put links to other pages in the comment section. I think this is that they don't want people. Well, what was happening? I know the reason why this has happened because I've seen a video about it. But what was happening was people were leaving comments against videos that were taking with hyperlinks in them that were then taking users from the YouTube channel to another place where those users were either being scammed or at one point, and this is the reason why I hold all comments, but at one point what people were doing was actually putting links to porn sites, and I had a whole raft. I had about 50 comments at one point where all the comment was a link, was a hyperlink using something like Bitly as a redirector to a porn site, and I had just had to hold those. Otherwise, you were just sending people off to stuff that was not really in line with where this channel ethos is. Your personal preferences are your personal preferences, but they're not the channel preferences. Anyway, it does sound like an interesting project, so I'll be happy to find out what actually happens in the long run.